Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to Coping with Life, Disabled and Mentally Ill. I am your host, Scott. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you are amazing. And hopefully you're chasing those dreams. Now, I hope you the best. No matter what you're doing in the world, no matter the highs and lows, I wish, no matter what you're trying to accomplish, it happens. Because you deserve great things to happen to you. You deserve amazing things. And you also deserve people in your corner. And I mean that wholeheartedly. We all go through trials and tribulations. We all deal with stuff. Whatever that stuff might be, different depending on who we are. And, things affect us in different ways. We are human. And there's a lot of humanity stuff that, not one size fits all. What affects me might be a nothing burger for you. And what may trigger you might be an everyday occurrence for myself that I just have to deal with. And, what that words are hard to explain things. And, if you're not doing well, if you are struggling in life, if you're having things that are affecting you, there may be people in your circle, may be in your life that doesn't know how to interact, that they may not feel comfortable, they may not know how to react in those instances. And then there might be other people who can respond positively, and they might have dealt with those situations many numerous times, and they can stay calm and handle those situations pretty clearly, calmly, and have ways to help, and they have ideas, and it's in their playbook, and not everybody has the same playbook, and not everybody can handle things the same. For myself, my playbook is very vast, but there's a lot of empty pages where other people, normal people, more so, whose playbook includes a lot of those things that I'm missing, and their opinions matter. Where when you find people who can value those things and know what your weaknesses are. Don't use it against you, but also knows what your strengths are. Now, I'm not gonna get into too much details, because even though I put myself out there, I do value privacy, and everybody deserves their own levels of privacy and their comfortable levelness. And I care about everybody, and I also like to be transparent as well. But one of the things that is highlighted in my playbook, things that I do best, is I am myself. I don't change. I am fairly the same person no matter who you are. You know, I'm gonna be myself. But there has been a few occurrences that has needed my assistance to be what I do best. And that's one of the things that, is in my playbook that I value, because those are things that make me being me. And that is trying to be silly, making people laugh, just being there for somebody who may be going through a bad day, an argument, or just whatever is going through their little world. Now, I'm going to be honest, sometimes I'm a little too much. Well, sometimes I go a little too far because, in my playbook, if level 1 doesn't make you giggle, I'm not going to exhaust level 1 tactics, especially in on a phone call or video chat or whatever it may be, if I'm not in the same room, country as the other person or animal or whatever it may be. I'm going to go to the next level. I'm not going to exhaust level 1 funnies, stories, things that may help lighten up the mood. And sometimes silence is best. And sometimes I'm a good judge of characters. Sometimes I'm off basis. And everybody is different, and even if you have the same person, what they're going through, maybe they just want silence. Sometimes you go too far. Maybe level 4 kind of worked, but you not being able to see or audible cues, but maybe level 5 is too much. Too far. It's like, but at the same time, I'm going to be myself, and for the people who are in my circle and who knows me pretty well, know that, I'm going to do everything in my power to make you feel good. Try and help. And sometimes, things evolve, and maybe they're going through something that is ever changing. Like something may be going on where, they're still going through it, and it's still a developing thing, so the target is ever moving. So where, a level 4, maybe just it may be ever moving, where level 1 may actually be the better choice. But for myself, I've already tried that, and so it's hit or miss. And everybody is different. And for me, I like making people laugh, making people feel better, especially when I'm struggling myself and going through my own stuff. But I also value other people over myself, which isn't advised, but it's something that I have dealt with my entire life. And sometimes the situation can be overwhelming, or I may go, I just want to have a good time, because maybe all they need is, somebody who cares, and somebody who just wants to talk, video games or comics, or, trying to just unwind and not, deal with world issues and escapism. So, last night, where I felt, I'm here. I felt like I did everything in my power to do what I do, to just be there for people. And I myself, I'm like, there's more things that I can do. So I loaded up a video game and was like, let's play this for a bit. But I'm somebody who I'm a planner, and I kind of, especially on the fly stuff, I plan for the best outcome, and I'm like, what? I am pretty quick thinking, and so I messaged some of their friends, and like, hey, if you're not doing anything, I would like your assistance. If you are up to, would you like to play the game with these people? And they got back to me, because and they're like, absolutely. And so I I did what I do best, and it was a great night. And then when you have a good time and you're having not the best time, maybe you had a long day and you're exhausted, and you're just dealing with exhaustion. Spend 30 minutes with me, and I'm gonna put you to sleep. And I'm okay with that. So, everybody's different. Everybody handles things differently. And my playbook is, if I know these people pretty well or theirs, I'm gonna try, and sometimes I'm not able to help. That's okay. But for somebody who is used to disappointment, somebody who's used to false promises and whatever it may be, I'm used to many things. But yet I've still tried to be a human and help people. Sometimes that's not. Sometimes the only thing that I can do is use what I'm doing exactly right now. Using my words on my podcast, putting it out there, Sometimes people don't have the right words. People in that situation like, well, you're on your own, kid. Because unlike most people, I don't help people, but I have an ulterior motive to get something out of things. Except a better mood, better positivity. I don't find ways to spin things and get better things out of that situation. I'm not a fan of those people. I'm not a fan of those tactics. If I message somebody or if I call somebody up and the first thing out of their words is, what do you want? That's not who I am. It's like, I like conversations. I like to see how people are. And from my personal opinion, those people who say, what do you want? Those are the people that I try really hard not to associate with, because that is how they view things. How, they can better the situations for themselves. And I could be wrong, but that is my personal opinion of how, what I've been through, and those are the type of people that I see who try and get the best results. And, if I help you, I want something in return. Which, I don't see. But, everybody's different. Everybody handles things differently. And that's okay. It's perspective, and I try to be the best bubbly person, and sometimes I'm going through my own issues, and people in my circle try and help, but at the same time, majority of those people that I surround myself in, their playbook pages on how to deal with an erratic, autistic, disabled, mentally ill person who's depressed, those pages are empty. And I don't blame them that, those specific pages of their playbook are empty. Now, there might be a few other people who, those types of pages, those specific pages, have lots of notes. And they're broken up of, okay, well, so they're having a manic episode. Okay, well, let's find the level. Let's find the severity of the manic, because handling things can vary depending on the person, and so let's take myself there. Maybe a level 1 is I'm having an anxiety attack because I have an appointment in the morning. And I'm so stressed that, I may not get enough sleep. I'm worrying about 9 different things that could be happening. And I'm outpouring and I'm stressed and, I'm not good enough. I'm not, this may happen. And sometimes it's not the best to tell somebody to calm down. And, being able to handle situations and understand, and especially, I don't want to be a bother, I don't want to be a burden, I don't want to, so I want to handle my battles to myself. So that might be a level 1. And level doesn't mean the severity. It's just, how I perceive things. And maybe a level 2 might be even simpler. But with the more complex result of how to, let's say I stub my toe. And I'm freaking out because I'm dealing with more pain. And I stubbed my toe. But yet my back hurts. I stubbed my toe and my back is more in pain because dealing with a lot of health issues that I do, and dealing with more radiant pain like fibromyalgia. Stubbing my toe may exacerbate a different part of my body that is currently hurting, knowing that maybe in a few hours my toes are going to finally hurt, and it's going to hurt much worse than the initial pain, because it's one of those things where take a number. It's like, oh, new pain, please take a number. We'll get back to you, and we're going to make you hurt even worse. Because we need to process each pain receptacle. Have a nice day. And so I don't know when that might happen. And so worrying and trying to have a panic attack because I stubbed my toe and a different part of my body is hurting because it's weird. Now, sometimes it's more instant because every day is different, and sometimes things, especially even if I stub my toe and there's no pain, and my body's like, oh, there's not going to be any pain today. But you just ripped your sock in the process. Have fun with your panic attack because you just ripped a brand new pair of socks. So you can't afford to buy a new one. So have a nice day with that. Those type of things affect everybody differently. And you may go and think, oh, well, that's not a big deal. But you're not in that person's shoes. You're not in that person's realm of thinking. Now I'm gonna be honest. On one of the pages that I don't have, and I try really hard to not, have opinions. And so at that point, I just try and deflect and move the conversation to different. Sometimes it works. Sometimes they find somebody who has those things in the playbook and then realize that, maybe that's not the best. Or maybe it is the best, depending on who they are. One of the... So I'm going to say this, and don't come to me with your relationship problems. That's not in my playbook. I may go... It's like, oh, I'm having this relationship issue, and I'm like, okay, well, that in my playbook doesn't exist. And the most thing that I may have in my playbook is how to try and fix a broken toy. And it's like, well, have you tried turning it on and off again? Have you tried replacing the batteries? Now, again, it's my playbook. I'm only limited to those things. Now, sometimes, maybe they just want somebody to just spend time with, just talking. That's cool. Or if they want to vent, just let me know if you want to vent, and I will lend an ear. So that is something that I do have in my playbook because I'm a good listener and I care about people. But, everybody is different. Everybody's playbook is vastly different. And now, if you want to talk wrestling or video games, I may know a thing or two. Don't know everything, but I can make a conversation pretty well. But my goal is to try and make people happy. And sometimes I struggle in my own world. Because sometimes my playbook doesn't help me. Sometimes I don't have my own playbook that helps my world. Because sometimes it's hard for me to put me first. I want to help other people. And I struggle every single day. And I try really hard to live the best life I can. And sometimes it's really hard to put myself first. Because I don't value myself. Because sometimes in my world, I don't deserve it. I'm a burden. I don't deserve good things. I deserve to struggle. That's not healthy. But when you deal with trauma, when you deal with being told your entire life that you don't deserve to breathe air and live a life, and you don't deserve things, and nobody's going to care about you, nobody's going to love you, nobody's... all of the stuff that you've been told by numerous people in life who would rather tear people down you don't want other people to go through what you've been through. And it's really hard to break those habits. I try really hard, knowing that I do deserve good things to happen to me. But at the same time, I also want good things to happen to everybody. So, everybody's different. Everybody goes through different trials and tribulations. Life is hard. And find the people in life that make you smile and that you genuinely want to be around. If people try to manipulate or try and get things out of you, maybe they're not good people. Maybe that's just who they are, and you understand that. And sometimes you can't help those type of people, and that's okay. But you have to find ways to better that situation. And you have to be real to yourself as well. You also need to know what you want in life, how you want to be treated, how you want to be respected. And everybody is different, and I'm going to be 100% honest. Every day with me is different. What made me laugh today may make me angry tomorrow. Because I am somebody who struggles, and my brain doesn't work on the same wavelength as other people. And maybe something that made me mad last week is going to make me laugh this week. And that's really hard to live that way, where my brain handles things, processes things differently. And I know this may be a different episode for a lot of people who like my bubbly personality, but at the same time, it's good to be honest, clairvoyant, transparent. So, I am me, and everybody is different. Everybody handles things differently, and depending on what you're going through or what somebody else is going through, try and be aware of your surroundings, and things may be different. I will give another example. And this happens a lot, and it's happened to me a lot in my life, where I try really hard to do things or handle things differently. And I'll give an example. Let's say I just experienced a great evening. I'm as happy as probably I've ever been. Um, you know, case in point, like Taylor Swift. When I saw her in Seattle a few weeks ago, that was, that I it was something really happy, something that I waited a long time for, and then you have people who take that situation, knowing that you are on cloud nine, who you're dealing with some of the greatest dopamine, and then they tell you, why didn't you invite me? I would have liked to go, or I would sell the ticket that you would give me for free for $2,300 on ticket sales, and I would be able to do a lot of good stuff with that. Or find ways to make you feel like a terrible person. I don't need that. Where they put words and tear you down. Like, oh, well, I wish I could have left city, go to a concert. It must be nice to live a life not having any issues. Or it's like, well, insert many of these different issues of, oh, it would have been nice to do, but, I have kids and I have other responsibilities. Well, A, I didn't ask. 2, I'm trying to live my best life, and I'm sorry that I'm happy that I got to experience something that, to me, is very enjoyment for me, because I don't get those a lot. And especially how hard I saved up to be able to do that. And I'm going to be honest, let's take the Taylor Swift thing. So the ticket, I was in queue, and there's many ways. So again, every situation is different, but so not only did I have to do the verified fan, I had to be selected to even attempt to get tickets. Because I know a lot of people, like people who are trying to get tickets now for some of the shows that's not until next year in cities, they've been waitlisted. They won't have a chance. Because for the Toronto show in November 23rd, 31 million people registered to get tickets. Majority of them were waitlisted. Now scalpers and bots got selected and ate up majority of the tickets immediately. It happens. But I was lucky enough to be able to experience that. And unsolicited, you find one of the few pictures that I actually post and attack me, where you don't know what I've been through, what, the day of being up for 28 hours, dealing with all of the stuff, saying that you're special. You are a retard. You don't deserve to go see Taylor Swift. Whereas, like, yeah, I do. And I that day, the ups and downs, I would not trade that for the world. Because that was something that I really sacrificed for. And I managed to do it because when I got my ticket in 2022, it being in Seattle, it's like, okay, now how do I get to Seattle? Okay, how much am I going to need to be able to go, not only safely, but also plan? And me being a larger person, what's the best route for me I could go Amtrak. Okay, Amtrak would be this. I would be able to get there, but getting back would be here. I can't afford a hotel, So my route was, I'm going to fly. I can get from the airport to the stadium on public transportation. I can then take public transportation back to the airport and then wait until my flight. And I spent 28 hours awake. And then I came home and crashed, and it was one of the best Saturdays. I love Saturdays, and it's kind of special to be able to do something on one of my favorite days. And that happens a lot, where people see what I'm up to. I try to be a very private person because I value my privacy. And I try really hard not to share most of things. And my circle, I value everybody who is in my circle that I talk to, because the majority of the people in my circle, they know my highs, my lows. And I go through a lot of things. Everybody goes through things. But I'm very honest. I do get, my only source of income isn't very much. It's government. It's barely to live on. But I sacrifice a lot to be able to, this thing is a year and a half away. All right, I'm going to do my best to do that. And sometimes things don't happen the way that, I would like to. And I find things best for me to, I want to look forward to something to save for, something that I really want to do. Like, I want to go to Japan. Now, Japan, there's a lot of levels. Not only do I need to save up for hotel, also flights, but also have enough money for just in case something bad happens. Be for preparedness. And that's going to take a long time to get to that point. And I try really hard to live the best life that I can, but knowing that people will go and, well, you don't deserve that, just try and make my mood sour. I don't understand that. And it's really hard for me to process it. Some days I can laugh it off. Sometimes it affects me really hard. And everybody lives life differently, and I try really hard to be positive, and that's just me being me, because for me, I try really hard to live, the way that I would like to be treated. But at the same time, I understand that, that's not how other people work. And I don't know why people want to tear other people down for thing that they're excited for. Where people, people will people. And I love you all. I'm going to stop it here on this amazing Saturday. A little bit different, little. It's hard when, for me, I can only know the life that I've lived. And knowing that a lot of people who see the amazing stuff that I get to do, because it's nice to, paraphrasing what I've been told by other people, it's like, it's nice to not have a job. It's nice to, be lazy. It's nice to not have worries. But they don't know what I go through. They don't know the worries of, I may not be able to afford this. Of, I've spent $3 on hot chocolate. I'm not going to be able to get a sandwich tomorrow. I may be able to do that because, I find ways to manage my money. Sometimes I don't do it the best, but I try really hard. And some people who don't know the stuff that I go through, because I don't know what they go through, and, I don't know what it's like to have a child or be married or deal with there, because those aren't in my cards. Those aren't what I get to deal with. I get to deal with me. And you're right, I don't know what it's like to take care of animals and putting food on their plates, because I don't have animals. For me, I have myself. Sometimes I neglect myself. Everybody is different. Everybody is fighting their own wars, and I'm able to do things, and especially good people who help me and bless me with things, and vice versa. Sometimes all that they want in return is, my toothless smile that, everybody is different. Knowing that the best me is, trying to put smiles on faces, and, sometimes heavy hearts, and knowing that everybody struggles, and one of the things that I'm going to say is something that has always baffled me, and I try really hard to be positive, but I have been told my entire life that, I'm never going to achieve things that are on my bucket list, things that I want really bad. Sometimes those things are bitter pill, but sometimes they're honest, and, I'm not going to deny that. But the thing that I've always had an issue with, and lucky for me, over the last couple of years, those naysayers are no longer in my life. And those things that have been said, I remember all too well. And since when is trying to live your best life a bad thing? Not knowing somebody's story, not knowing what they've been through. So I'm very honest and I'm upfront. I live alone. How's that a bad thing? I try really hard to keep the roof over my head. That I value, paying rent. I've been here for many years now. 5-6 years. And I've been on my own for a little over 10, maybe a little bit more. Maybe longer. It's really hard for me to judge time. I would rather go, okay, well, these days, but how's living on my own, trying to take care of myself, a bad thing? And that's, I've had people who try really hard. It's like, oh, well, it would be, it's like, it's a shame that you live alone, because you don't know what it's like to, deal with these situations. Like, I try really hard to ignore those. Sometimes it's not the best, but I'm proud of myself that, I am living on my own, because I was told many, many times growing up that, I would never achieve that. I would, live with family until the day I die. I left home when I was 19. That's something that I'm proud of. That's something that was it hard? Absolutely. And I didn't get to get a place on my own other than roommate situations that, I realized, especially with stranger roommates, finding people on Craigslist and other, yeah, I went through those. Made me a better person. Realized really quickly after a couple of years of, I'm good. I'd rather try finding a place on my own, which is really hard these days, especially how much rent is, and knowing that I don't get much but from the government, and knowing that 90% goes to rent. But knowing that I've been through that, and when I lived in Texas, the good people in my life, and when I left, knowing that, you know what, I tried living on my own, it didn't pan out. I survived for a couple of years, and then things happened that I got a second chance to live on my own again. And I've made it work. How is that a bad thing? That, you know, everybody is different, but how is me trying to live the best life that I can? Because, you know, you're right. I don't know what it's like to take care of animals or kids or, you know, juggle 3 jobs or have car payments or mechanics and deal with all of these issues. You're right. I don't have those issues. I have my own completely different set of issues. And sometimes they can be overwhelming. We all have our own wars. We have our own issues every single day. And sometimes we shouldn't judge somebody of the amazing thing that they've been able to accomplish, because, you know, they may have exhausted every avenue possible to achieve those dreams. And I try really hard to be the most positive person in the world and make people laugh, tell everybody too that they are loved. It takes a couple of bad apples to tear us down. And I try really hard to be very positive. And having a podcast that I love dearly, that I try to make sure that I do things the best. And this episode has been a long time coming, because I've felt that I really needed to talk a little negativity, you know, a little humble pie, and do it in my own little way of trying to make it the best positive. You know, have a nice fireside chat, a little campfire, knowing that, you know, it's okay not being okay. You don't know what somebody's been through. You don't know what somebody's currently going through. It's nice to be aware, but, you know, being there for somebody, making them laugh, that's one thing. But tearing them down to make you feel better, you know, if I never had to deal with all the stuff that I've had to deal with, those situations may end up differently. But I can't change what I've been through. I can't change what I've gone through. And yet I try and live the best life I can. And I live positively. You know, spread the smiles. I was told, and I'm going to be honest and open on this, I was told many years ago that if I became a recluse and an angry, bitter old man, that they would understand. And they would accept me for me being that way because of everything that I've been through in my life. And they didn't say that as a joke. They honestly meant that as a person knowing that if I ever did change me being who I am and became an angry, bitter old hermit, that they would love me all the same. You know, they'd understand that, you know, I got to the breaking point, and if that's the way that I decide to live the rest of my days. That hit home. You know, this was a couple of years ago. May have been a decade, but I remember that conversation very vividly. Because I was going through a few things, and I was going through, I think it was, in all honesty, I think it may, my brain is going through a lot of things at the moment, but it may have been just a couple years ago. I exactly when, I don't know. Brain is a little fuzzy at this current moment in time, but I was going through a lot of stuff, and yet no matter how bad my personal life was, if they had a bad day, if they were going through their own issues, I stopped thinking about myself and was helping them deal with their issues. And they said, you know, if you become a bitter old man, and, you know, they would understand. And hopefully that never happens, because I love laughing, I love being there for other people. Sometimes people take that for granted and abuse and use me for my niceties. And sometimes there's people who see that and try and take advantage of that. And sometimes I don't see that's what they're doing. And then sometimes people can go, you know, let's move this conversation elsewhere and have a better time. Because everybody's different. And I try really hard to make everybody feel loved. Because everybody deserves love. Everybody... No. Sometimes people are closed off, which is definitely okay. But you don't know what somebody is going through. The person in line at a coffee shop, you don't know what that person is going through. And I try and treat everybody with the same respect. Now, if you're closer to my inner circle, I'm you're stuck with me for life. I'm gonna, you know, take it to 100, and, you know, it may land or it may not land, but I'm still gonna be me. And, you know, live the best life you can. You know, chase your dreams. Life is short. You know, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. And why make other people sad or cause issues for people But people are gonna people. And you don't know what people are going through. So I try and I try and treat everybody like a human being, like I deserve, like I would like to be treated, which people see that I'm a retard and people treat me differently. Sometimes I try really hard to be normal. And sometimes that can be a little exhausting. But I wanted to be honest and treat people with respect. And hopefully this episode may give you perspective. And it's a long one, but it's an episode that I've been wanting to do for a while. Because this being coping with life, disabled and mentally ill, and I really wanted to do a deep dive, and there's many things that I want to do, and sometimes things can be a little too overwhelming for me. If I tried doing this episode yesterday, it may have been nearly impossible, or tomorrow, I may be going through something else. So if you're having a bad time, if you're going through stuff, there's people out there in the world that care about you, that even if you feel lost and alone, there's a lot of resources out there that somebody can listen to you. And you shouldn't feel alienated, and know that you're loved. Where I may not be able to help you because I'm dealing with my own demons and other things that may, to you, be not an issue. And sometimes where you may be going through a problem where I might think that's a non-issue, but at least I would listen. Everybody is different, but I wish you the best Saturday. And I love you all. May you have the best Saturday until next week, which I have no idea what next week will bring. But please be safe out there. Know that you're loved. And if somebody is struggling out there, or if you're struggling at them, tell them that you love them. Tell them that they matter. Because life is short. Chase your dreams, live in the now, and don't let other people tell you what you can and can't do with your life. Because at the end of the day, you're responsible for you. I'm Scott. This is Coping with Life, Disabled and Mentally Ill. And I bid you all adieu.